got a water back there, but that's okay. You know what? I gotta move this because I really need the space. So I'll move it back over there. When I need the water, I'll. We got 2 minutes. Thank you very much for coming. I can't believe it. People here, my family, my friends, my classmates, thank you so much. Amazing, thank you. And thank you to Inform Interiors. Thank you so much. Nancy Benson, Fiona Nurse, Christian Huff for hosting this event. I was saying today that this kind of thing is one of the kinds of events that makes living in a city great, where it's free and people get together and meet each other, and they do it for free. I mean, it's just, I said, I offered some money to pay for the refreshments, and they said, oh, no, this is what we do. I think, this is what you do? This is so nice. It's so great. And thank you to my publisher, Robert McCullough of Appetite Penguin Random House. Where's Robert? There he is. Thank you. Lindsay Patterson, Kelly Albert, and my amazing editor, Whitney Miller. Where's Whitney? Whitney? Oh, she's wherever you are, Whitney. Oh, there she is. Hi, thank you. Whitney took me by the hand and led me through the labyrinth of editing and turning a manuscript into a finished book. Thank you, Whitney. Very nice, thank you. And thank you also to Chris Rothstein, my literary agent. There she is. And who edited so much of my work. It's so nice to be here in Vancouver and seeing you, this jewel of Canada. I think that you have some kind of hallucinogenic pollen coming down from the mountains that makes it so, pollen, that makes everything so wonderful. So, who here likes to cook? All right, there's Bob Warden, way to go. And who likes to eat? Good. Well, you've come to the right place tonight. You've come to the right place. So my dining room journey starts on a serious note. Here we go. There we are. We're at the hospital, and it's because my wife Franny had a stroke, and Franny's at the back there. So it was quite awful, and for about 24 hours in the emergency room at Toronto Western Hospital, I thought I might lose her. But somehow, the nurses, the doctors, the first responders, and the physiotherapists put Franny back together again, and now she's about 99% back to her old self. So we know we're lucky. Thank you. And thank you to friends and family who helped us. We know we're lucky. So when Franny had a significant birthday coming up, I knew it was time to have a really big birthday party celebration and a new revitalized dining room. So to make this dinner special, I embarked on a journey. And I tend to be obsessive when I go on a journey. So you'll see. I visited the sites of some of the most famous dining rooms in the world to learn from them and incorporate their best features into Franny's birthday dinner and dining room. So this is author Edith Wharton's dining room in Lenox, Massachusetts. I wanted to understand these dining rooms in terms of the food, the recipes, the architectural interiors, the furniture, the table arrangements, the dishware, glassware, clothing, etiquette, invitations, and I also tried to make a dish that was served in each historic dining room with the intention of including that as part of the birthday dinner. And then I wrote a book called The Dining Room. And so here we are today, and I'm going to take you on a 45-minute tour of the history of the dining room. And I won't be able to cover everything because we've only got 45 minutes, but it'll give you a taste of some of the most famous dining rooms in the world and some famous people in the world. So the architecture of the dining room changed over time along with the values of the broader society. Archaeologists in Pompeii, 79 AD, are uncovering these dining rooms built with elaborate fresco walls and with pools where people would go into the pool and wash themselves and take a nice bath and then get out of the bath and oil their bodies before dinner. This sounds so sensuous. My goodness. During the medieval period, most people lived in these one-room huts or cottages, and life centered around that central fire. So the single room was the dining room, kitchen, and bedroom, and eating and cooking remained this way for hundreds of years. In 1532, King Henry VIII's Great Hall at Hampton Court Palace was this colossal space for grand feasts. And he would impress visitors by serving whole sides of venison and roast peacock with their feathers still intact. In France, the concept of a specific room set aside for dining had its beginnings in the mid-1600s with Louis XIV. Louis's dining room was an innovation of the architecture of the house that acted as a showcase for the owner's wealth and power, a place to show off their expensive eating habits, serving multiple platters of food, using dozens of plates, and having plentiful staff to serve the guests. And so the dining room came late to North American houses. In North America, settlers were just too busy just surviving, never mind making a separate room in their houses just for eating. So settlers in the New World built themselves one-room houses to secure shelter, and the decor was basic, and residents ate all over the house, in the hall, in the parlor, or in the sleeping area. But eventually, the elite saved enough money to build dining rooms, and in the early 1800s, the dining room was all about showing off your wealth. So this is very visible here, this dining room in Campbell House here in Toronto, 1822. So this is called the Regency period, 1822. And the wealthy developed rules governing just how the dining room should be decorated and furnished. So these rooms were decorated with high-quality woods like mahogany and cherry and oak to exhibit the owner's wealth, their taste, and their education. And eventually, dining rooms became the most stylish rooms in the house. So the gesture of separating eating in a dining room from cooking in a kitchen was a significant step in establishing the gentility of a house. So the unsightly clutter of the kitchen and the servants could be hidden away from view of the guests behind walls with this gleaming dining room, which gave the impression of cleanliness, status, and sophisticated taste. So in this picture, these people are displaying where the servants would stand while people were dining at the dining table. And they could keep track of everything that was going on at the table because on the other wall there was a curved mirror where they could see everything that was happening on the table. And they'd be able to see when they could step in with an extra bottle of wine or bring in another roast of ham. So here we go. So we're going to show a video here of Jane Austen, from Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. And it's about a 1-minute video. The discussion and the dialogue is turgid. The discussion's not that important. What I want to show is how people dined in the 1820s, and it's something called service à la française. So service in the French style. So meaning all the food is out on the table, and people help themselves. And it's very similar to the way that we eat at a Chinese restaurant. So this is service à la française, and this will come up later in this talk. And here we go. Oh, didn't quite get it. Christian, what am I doing wrong here, buddy? I usually hit that, right? There we go. Thank you, Christian. You can stand up here.
You seem
Thank you.
very fortunate in your patroness, Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Indeed I am, sir. I have been treated with such affability, such condescension as I would never have dared to hope for. I have been invited twice to dine at Rosings Park. That's amazing.
Does she live near you, sir?
The garden in which stands my humble abode is separated only by a lane from Rosings Park.
Only a lane, eh? Fancy that, Lizzie.
I think you said she was a widow, sir. Has she any family?
She has one daughter, ma'am, the heiress of Rosings, and of very extensive property.
Look at that cheese. Did you see that ham? You pull up a chair. So the next place we're going to go to is a samurai house in Kanazawa, Japan, 1860, a samurai dining room. So when I arrived in Japan, I fell in love with the austere aesthetic of the traditional Japanese house. Wood, post, and beam construction, open rooms with flexible uses, and the clean, unadorned interior of tatami mats and shoji screens. So this gives you an idea of that post and beam construction. The main dining room is the tatami room that overlooks a magnificent garden of windswept pines, stone walkways, and colorful koi fish swirling in ponds, a strong connection to nature. So my excellent tour guide, Jun Hayashi, served me a classic Japanese meal, kneeling on the floor and eating off Japanese trays. So there are our trays. So the question I had when I started this project was, why do Japanese dine on the floor? That's why I asked a lot of very smart people, and the answer really was nowhere to be found. But in my opinion, what I found was that the Japanese are uniquely devoted to their past history and culture. The Japanese were cut off from the outside world for over 250 years, from 1639 to 1853. That was during the Tokugawa period. So it's a time when they developed their own cultural arts and traditions, and their dedication to their culture continues to the present day. They did not see Western-style tables and chairs until the end of the 19th century. So although dining habits are trending towards Western tables and chairs, many people in Japan continue to enjoy kneeling on the floor while they're dining. And I've talked to people, and they actually like the choice of eating at a Western table and chairs or kneeling on the floor. So we're going to go to this house for 2 minutes. There we go. I got it. Here's the tatami room. We could go on and on. It'd be very nice. But we're going to move ahead. We're moving ahead in time, and we're going to go to the dining room of artist Claude Monet in Giverny, France, 1905. Here we are. Very good. So Monet's garden is an unspeakably magnificent display of colorful flowers, vines, shrubs, and rivers. But when I enter Monet's house, here's his house. It's a long house, about 100 feet long, but it's quite narrow. It's covered with flowers. And there's the front door. We're going to step in the front door. It's in the middle of the facade. And when I step into the dining room, it's a sun-filled dining room, and you're engulfed in a glorious space with walls awash in a glowing yellow, and it's like being bathed in morning light. The soft hue brings a feeling of joy and amazement to yourself that you can actually feel on your skin and on your chest. And on top of it all, there's a collection of 18th and 19th century Japanese block prints that line the walls of the dining room and were great sources of inspiration for Monet and the Impressionists. But you look around to find that vibrant yellow just doesn't stop on the walls. It continues onto the ceiling beams, the armoires, the wood trim, and the chairs. Look at those chairs. Don't you think he would have been really happy to find those chairs? They look like sunbursts themselves. You go, wow, how did I get those chairs? They're so great. But it's no accident that Monet chose yellow for the center of his house. And for Monet and the other Impressionists, yellow was more than just a pretty color. It was a connection to nature, light, and the sun. So yellow was a color that meant a lot to Monet. And throughout his life, he was fascinated with shifts in light and color. Although he was a private, moody man, Monet still enjoyed entertaining, and he loved to eat. At lunch, Monet welcomed guests such as Renoir, Rodin, Cézanne, Degas, Van Gogh into his dining room. And one of the things that he really liked when he painted, he was a moody person, but he wanted people to feel serene and happy when he saw their painting. So you can see in this painting, the sun is coming from over here and hitting those trees. That's where he puts the yellow. I just think this is just such a beautiful, uplifting painting. He served pot au feu, roast chicken, roast duck, pigeon. He raised his own prized chickens and ducks. He fished for pike in his own garden rivers, in the ponds, in the rivers. He had his own kitchen garden where he grew his own salad, tomatoes, eggplants, artichokes, onions, pears. He grew his own apples, and what he did was he splayed the apple trees out like this, and would connect them to the stone walls in the garden so he would maximize the sun to the apples and maximize the heat conducted from the garden walls. Tarte tatin was one of Monet's favorite desserts, and he liked it so much that he did a painting of it. So to fully understand his love of food, sitting in his brilliant yellow dining room, I took a cooking class in Paris and made a Monet-inspired tarte tatin with a Ferrandi pastry chef. There we are. And that's our tarte tatin. It was perfect. I can't believe it. No wonder he liked it so much. You could eat that with a dollop of ice cream or creme fraiche. So you can see the apples, you put sugar and water into a pan and put it on in a pot and get it caramelized so it turns dark brown, and then put that in the apples and in the pie shell, and that's how it. Oh, then you have to flip it upside down. That's the crucial part, when you flip it upside down. So, we're going to spend about a minute and a half in Monet's house.
The last time I was here was summer, and it was totally different. Now here we are in spring, and there are tulips like exploding everywhere. Like there's color everywhere. It's an artist's paradise.
The main goal of this place was not to organize barbecue and garden parties, you know,
Sure.
just to paint it, to
Yeah.
depict every part of the garden, and just to create a beautiful and a very harmonious composition. He composed small part of the garden,
Okay.
just to paint it, to catch, a composition. Like an artist is doing sketches before doing painting.
Yeah.
He composed every part of the garden before painting it.
Okay, well, where should we head to next?
Or if you want, we can just visit the house.
Yeah, let's
for
do
a
it.
few minutes. So this yellow room was the dining room. It's pretty modern as concept to eat with your family in the kitchen.
His passion for Japanese prints, obviously Japanese garden, but it's just amazing. They're covered like all over the wall. It's incredible.
Yes, he had a huge collection, and Claude Monet just bought year after year different prints that he discovered during the Universal Fair, organized in Paris. They had the possibility to buy a series, 20 Japanese prints, for the rate of a lunch at the restaurant. Famous Wave by Hokusai. Monet had a copy.
Well, I know what Van Gogh loved Japanese prints as well, which you can see why. They're super colorful, and they love color, so yeah. And I love the photo of him just standing there, get a feel. Looks just like it.
Always smoking a
Yeah,
cigarette,
yeah.
He loved to drink wine.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on, we're in France. That's what you have to do. So,
I know. So have you been to France lately? You been to Paris? So I was there a couple of years ago, and they still smoke like crazy. And I didn't they get the memo? So I was really interested in the way they smoke. So you go, and then you put it back here. You get the little wrist twist here, and then you go. Just sit with the cup and do it. So stylized. And the females, they just show a little half when they do it. You'll see. Okay. Oh, here we are, Downton Abbey. So for years, I always wanted to go to Downton Abbey. I love the show. I love seeing the castle more than anything else. But when I stepped out of the bus, I loved it even more. When you go there, it's not a letdown at all. It's this enormous monumental castle soaring to the sky on this landscape of Lebanon cedar trees and fields designed by Capability Brown. So Downton Abbey is in reality Highclere Castle in a place called Hampshire, England, about an hour east of London, built in 1860. So it really exists. And as I step into the dining room, I notice right away that the grand, spacious place is exactly as it is in the television show. And I'm really glad that it's not some ersatz TV set. And it's where the owners, the Earl of and Countess of Carnarvon, have their meals with friends and family in the dining room. And the most important function of the Edwardian dining room, the Edwardian period was 1901 to World War I, was to impress. So there's the 30 by 40 foot dining room, and the walls are covered in portraits of their illustrious ancestors. There's an enormous painting at one end that you really don't see on the show, but it's there, of King Charles I on horseback on that east wall. And the Earl's family are descendants of royalty. So this painting at the head of the table is a not so subtle message that you're having dinner with some really important people. I was surprised when I went there, and you can see it in this photograph, is the elegant wallpaper. It's a backdrop of this rich yellow and gold fabric in an intricate floral pattern that catches the candlelight and reflects the gold flecks and shimmers and dances and gives a warm feeling to the dining room. The most impressive feature of the room is the 1870 dining table at the center of the room. So for the Edwardians, the dining table was the spiritual center of their house. The presentation of the table was a statement of elegance and good taste. But I realized that I loved this place, I loved it. But if I was there in 1912, I'm not sure I would have enjoyed dinner, because the purpose of the gilded portraits and the cutlery and the special manners was to put people like me in my place. The whole idea was that only the elite knew how to have manners, how to act, what to talk about, what to wear. And if you were trying to rise up in status, you would have to know all of that. So they would be judging you while you were at dinner. So you're really not there for the food. You're there to break into the social circle. And really only the elite knew how to act in the dining room. And the dining room was the capital city of manners in that Edwardian period. So I returned back to Canada and joined my friends at something called the Culinary Historians of Canada. I think my architecture friends would probably wonder what am I doing with Culinary Historians of Canada? I have a great time. We cook these historical meals, and one thing that we did was we made traditional mincemeat tarts that people would eat at Christmas time. So here we go. There's a pie. That's a mincemeat pie that we made. Look at it, it's beautiful. It should be in an art gallery. And these mincemeat pies and tarts were made with real beef suet and beef tongue. And these would have appeared at the beginning of the century at Downton Abbey, and even here in Canada. So mincemeat tarts are called mincemeat because historically they really did have meat in them. They used the suet and the tongue inside them, and it goes back to the medieval period when mincemeat was combined with alcohol and these fruits to preserve meat. So, and these are the tarts. They beautiful. We put crystallized sugar on them to catch the candlelight. So at Downton, dinner was served service à la Russe, or service in the Russian style. In the 19th century, people got tired of the French style, where everything was on the table. And service in the Russian style served these multiple courses to all the guests, and the hosts really liked this even more because it allowed the host to show off their wealth even more. It required more dishes, more flatware, more servers. Sometimes there were 13 courses that would be coming out. So I'm going to show a 1-minute video at Downton Abbey. Watch as the footmen dip in and out between the guests like gracious swans on the pond. And then it's up to the guests to reach in. When it comes to you, you take the spoons and you pick the portion and put it on your plate. You don't wait for him to put it on your plate. You have to go in and get it. So here we go.
How did you and Matthew meet?
Oh, in London. My father works in London, so I've always lived there. But I love the country too.
Of course you do.
Daddy's a solicitor, like Matthew.
My, you're very well placed if you're ever in trouble with the law.
Did I tell you I've been given a colonelcy in the North Riding Volunteers? So I'm properly in the army again.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
He won't go with them, will he? When they're called to the front.
I hope not, but he seems to think so.
You don't mind my bringing Lavinia?
On the contrary, I'm glad. Glad to see you happy.
What about you? You happy?
I think I'm about to be happy. Does that count?
Does if you mean it.
You'll be the first to know.
So we're going to come back to Canada. As the 20th century progressed, more people became part of the middle class, and the dining room evolved into more of a statement of, less of a statement of elite wealth, and became more of a place for dinner and celebrations for a broader population. So I've always been captivated by the writing of Lucy Maud Montgomery, Canada's best-known author of the early 20th century and the creator of Anne of Green Gables. So I'm entranced when I visit her 1912 house in Leaskdale, Ontario, and I pull up in front of this 2-story, buff-collared Victorian Gothic-style cottage with a cheerful front porch. And she lived here with her husband, Ewan, who was a Presbyterian minister. Inside the house, I step into Montgomery's dining room, a handsome, modestly sized room with sunlight pouring in from a south-facing window I can see that the 12-foot by 14-foot space is anchored by this round table in the middle, and it's covered with a white tablecloth and surrounded by matching oak chairs. So I admire the table setting. It's very elegant, it's very simple, but initially Montgomery hated her dining room. She hated the house, but eventually she came to like these things it was a place where her boys grew up, and she learned to like it. She was very proud of her delicately attractive Bridal Rose Limoges series that was the family's everyday china service. So it's decorated with pink and lavender flowers and gold bordering on the outside of the bone white base. So the gold edging reflects the candlelight, and she has gold, well, you can see the teacup back there. Everything has this gold edging to reflect the candlelight. And here's Melanie Whitfield, who's the president of the Lucy Maud Montgomery Society, drinking out of those teacups. I take a quick glance at a historical photograph that sits on the sideboard of the dining room. And here's Montgomery in the foreground, her cousin Freed, or Frederica, her husband Ewan, who is the Presbyterian minister, and her son Chester. And the picture captures them smiling broadly in this very dining room at dinner table. So they're smiling, they're animated, they're joyous, and they're also beautifully lit. In Montgomery's house, there was no electricity. Lighting was provided by oil lamps, which gave off a low light that would cast these dramatic shadows and these reflections around the room. And it causes their faces to glow, it softens their features, and it's very conducive to intimate and relaxed conversation. And this is great for me to see this photo. Usually I just see it on my screen. It's nice and big. You can see how that gaslight gives drama to the tablecloth, to the architecture. It goes into that glass mirror behind the buffet. And that's why those buffets have a mirror behind them, is to reflect the glass, or reflect the light and sparkle in the room. What is less known about Montgomery is her talent in the kitchen. And she was an excellent cook, and she wrote a 440 recipe cookbook of early Canadian dishes in this rounded, swirling cursive. So I looked into the cookbook and made Montgomery sandwiches. I made something called a sunshine salad. It's up there at about 11 o'clock there. It's a gelatin salad with pineapple, orange, and carrot. It's a jelly salad. And also I made something called watermelon rind pickles. So people, waste not, want not. You have your watermelon rinds and you cut off the green part. It's very crunchy, and then you put that in pickle juice. It's fantastic. It's really surprising. Maybe part of it is that you don't expect it to be good, but it's great, especially if they're chilled and cold. Watermelon rind pickles. So that sunshine salad, jelly salads were, people liked eating jelly salads because they didn't have to go chase them around the plate, but also in the candlelight, the gelatin salad would light up and reflect the light from the candle. So it was like a stained glass window. And probably it would be a real conversation piece for the hostess and a reflection of her creativity in cooking. So as the wife of a minister, Montgomery's dining room became the center of entertainment in the Leaskdale community. She was the center of entertainment for everybody wherever she went, but especially in her house, it would be the center of her community. Sometimes if somebody came to the manse to get married, it was upon her to make the wedding dinner. And so what's very entertaining about Lucy Maud Montgomery is she wrote all these diaries. She's got stacks of diaries. She wrote them, she rewrote them, she curated them because she knew she was going to be famous. And they're highly sarcastic and biting, but they're also very funny. But it just reflects what she was really like. So one of the things that she wrote was, this is a mild thing, she said, if God wanted to rid the world of women, he would make them all the wives of ministers. So, highly recommended reading, Lucy Maud Montgomery Diaries. Chapter 7 is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the meaning of Southern food in Atlanta, Georgia. So in my opinion, Martin Luther King Jr. is one of the most important people to ever walk this earth. And here are some excerpts from the I Have a Dream speech that he gave in a rousing, passionate voice from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington in 1963. This is about 46 seconds. Yeesh. Good. All right, Christian. This used to work. How did you do that?
We face the difficulties of today and tomorrow. I still have a dream. My four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
So, I was really happy to arrive at this house in Atlanta and find out what the house that he was living in. But when I got there, I was pretty surprised because they told me that Martin Luther King Jr., when he was a little boy, was a very mischievous little boy. And, let's go back here. Amazingly, he was very good at playing Monopoly. You know, the game that you win, to win, you have to sell property and collect rent and build houses and hotels. Can you imagine what his father was thinking when he's cleaning up in Monopoly? Like, what have I done? So I stepped into the King family dining room. It's about 12 feet by 18 feet. It was the focus for socials and dinners for the extended family, and it's filled with sunlight with these two tall windows with dark wood window frames. And it's covered in a white tablecloth. It's set for 7 people with the original family dishes, cutlery, and water glasses. Look the other way, and the dining room was the site of many of the family discussions about the existence of a racial problem in the South. So for the first time at age 6, white parents forbade King from coming over to their house to play. It was his initial experience with racial prejudice. In his autobiography, he writes, "We were at the dinner table when the situation was discussed, and here for the first time, I was made aware of the existence of a race problem. I had never been conscious of it before." So he writes, "My mother confronted the age-old problem of the Negro parent in America. How to explain discrimination and segregation to a small child. She made it clear that I must never allow it to make me feel inferior. Then she said the words that almost every Negro hears before he can yet understand the injustice that makes them necessary. You are as good as anyone." It was these humiliating experiences of prejudice during those early childhood days that fueled Martin Luther King Jr. to crusade for equality. Growing up, Sunday dinners in his dining room consisted of Southern foods such as fried chicken, collard greens, black-eyed peas, and cornbread. Later in life, he would meet with civil rights leaders, and they would eat these same Southern foods together. So to help understand the experience of dining with King and his family in their dining room, I took a cooking class down the street from Martin Luther King Jr.'s house and made dishes that were popular with his family. So here's my plate. I actually made the fried chicken, and there's collard, what is it? It's black-eyed peas on the right, then it's collard greens, then it's candied sweet potatoes, mac and cheese, and cornbread. It was just great. So here we are. Oh, there I am eating. So the person behind me is thinking, she's a little disgusted. She said, how can this guy eat so much fried chicken? This little guy. Oh, my goodness. Okay, we're going to go to Frida Kahlo's house and her parties, her dishes, her love of Mexico. In Mexico City, it's the Casa Azul in 1939. So we're moving up in a time. So there she is. Frida Kahlo is known for her art. She's known for her clothing. She's known for her lovers. There's her art. It's fantastic. That's the two Fridas. She's known for her lovers and her partying. So we're going to see a little bar scene for 1 minute and 37 seconds. Oh, here we go. That didn't work. That didn't work. You put the cursor on the picture? Oh, on that picture. That's it.
Sai che cosa penso di te e dei tuoi murales di merda? Perché non ti levi dai coglioni, eh? Questo è un posto per operai, non per puttane del governo.
But at the base of it all was her love of Mexico. Frida Kahlo was a Mexican nationalist when it was not fashionable, and she used her food and her dining room to influence politicians and important people from around the world to promote Mexico. So Kahlo's house, the Casa Azul, or the Blue House, is in a suburb of Mexico City called Coyoacan. And I enter the dining room, an astounding 14 by 20 foot sunlit room. The first thing that I notice is the vibrant color scheme. It's bright blue and white walls make me feel like I'm standing in a Frida painting. The brilliant yellow floor radiates a warm and heavenly glow through the dining room, and in the center of the dining room is a long table, also painted yellow, and it's covered in a white tablecloth. But my favorite feature of Kahlo's dining room are the bright yellow painted wood shelves that hold Frida's collection of colored glassware, earthenware, pots, plates, and indigenous artifacts. They're indicative of her pride and promotion of Mexican artistic and cultural heritage. In the early 20th century, it's hard to believe, but the people of Mexico turned to Europe, particularly France, for their culture, for their art, architecture, and music. They did not feel that their own Mexican culture was worthy. So Frida wanted to change all of that. So Frida was deeply influenced by indigenous Mexican culture, and you can see it here in the use of her artifacts throughout the dining room. In the early 1900s, Mexican folk art was discriminated against and looked down on. Nevertheless, Kahlo collected it, and to her, the pieces defined the essential characteristics of Mexicanness. And people loved coming to this dining room. On any given night, Kahlo and husband Diego Rivera might be serving dinner to Nelson Rockefeller Orson Welles, Gary Cooper, Marc Chagall, Georgia O'Keeffe, and Leon Trotsky. Picasso was also there. So, and they would drink and eat while the mariachi played through the night. The dining room was the heart of Frida and Diego's intense social and cultural life. Frida looked at food as a means of being more Mexican. She wanted everyone to come to her dining room and experience the best of Mexico. So to fully appreciate Kahlo's dining room, I took a Frida-inspired cooking class in Mexico City, and I made her black bean soup, her cactus salad, stuffed corn tortillas, and her moles. The recipes are in the book. There we go. Let's try this. There we go. 1 minute and 49 seconds at Frida Kahlo's house, the Casa Azul.
Frida Kahlo's home, which is called the Casa Azul because it's bright, bright blue walls on the outside, was built by Frida Kahlo's father in Coyoacán, a district in the southern part of Mexico City. Frida was born there, and she lived there most of her life. When I was doing the research in the mid-70s, I spent a lot of time there, and I really did feel her presence because all of her objects are there, and people are sort of present in the things that they choose to have around them during their life. She spent a lot of time in bed in her house. When people went on trips, she always wanted them to bring her some little thing. She loved objects, and I think they were a kind of connection with the outside world for her when she was more isolated. The house is decorated with mostly folk artifacts, a reflection of her sympathy for the people of Mexico, the poor of Mexico, the Indians, and that was such a powerful matter of pride for Frida Kahlo to be very Mexican. Mexicanidad was a very strong emotion, even a political feeling in all the artists in Mexico during the 20s and 30s, 40s. Casa Azul is the essence of Mexicanidad.
All right, and so we're coming to a closer. We're coming to the contemporary period. So this is the house of Garth Norbrotten and Greg Lichty and their love of contemporary entertaining in Toronto. So our friends Garth and Greg live in this gorgeous renovated contemporary house in the Leslieville neighborhood. It's my favorite house in the city. Measuring about 30 by 40 feet, I look into the space. It's been transformed into this main floor of long, colorful walls, high-tech spotlights, and this gleaming natural wood floor. It's a combined dining room, kitchen, and living room. It's a perfect example of a 21st century great room, the kind of room where dining, entertaining, cooking, partying all take place in one space. The great room, you can see, the walls are wrapped in this vivid chartreuse, which gives it a very lively flavor. Further color accents are provided by carpets, cushions in hits of turquoise, mint, forest green, and they're all reflected off this narrow planked hardwood floor. But for me, the biggest architectural statement in this house is that the dining area is the first room that guests step into. It's such a different floor plan from all the other dining rooms that I've seen that are standalone dining rooms. Garth and Greg's arrangement to immediately enter into the dining area is consistent with many new houses and new house designs across North America with their open concept plans. And the dining room has become, again, the showpiece of the ground floor. So we're in the middle of a return to the dining room, or in some houses, to a larger dining area. The shift from separate dining rooms to an open concept dining kitchen area is a result of a desire for more casual, relaxed lifestyle, a shift towards flowing, flexible, multi-use spaces. The new all-in-one room allows for more informal entertaining, views to the outside, and maximizing natural light. But the great thing about our contemporary period is that these traditional rules of the dining room can be kept, or they can be changed. So here's the image of I think, a sensational traditional dining room, but updated in a completely vibrant manner. It's the dining room of an interior designer named Colette Van Den Tiert, and serves as her elegant dining room. But as you can see, it's also a library. Occasionally, it's a design studio. So I love the way that this wallpaper is used with these colorful blooms and vines and those chunky bookshelves that are also covered in wallpaper. And then look at that lively collection of chairs around the table. Whether a house is designed to be open concept or it has a dedicated room for dining, the dining area is no longer just for eating. It's reborn as a multifunctional space. It's a library, a workspace, a home office, or a party space. So the dining room is now the center of the house where we come together to do everything. Whether it's a bachelor apartment or a magnificent mansion, there's a priority of informality. Unlike the rules of etiquette at Downton Abbey, homeowners want their guests to come and feel relaxed when they come into their house for dinner. So to honor Garth, Garth's sister's here tonight. They're from Saskatchewan, so I made Saskatchewan bison burgers, and I made Saskatchewan potato salad, and I made a Saskatoon berry crisp. So, did you know that 90% of the world's mustard comes from Saskatchewan? Yeah. I come from Toronto. If Toronto did something like that, it'd be like, hey, look, we're great at mustard. These people in Saskatchewan are very modest. Oh yeah, we make 90% of the world's mustard. We're used to it. There's Greg scooping out my Saskatoon berry crisp. So having the dining area as the first space that guests enter into makes a statement about the significance about eating and gathering in Greg and Garth's house. So for Greg and Garth, the architectural message of the 21st century dining area says, we are active, we are informal, and we love to eat. So in conclusion, here's the reveal of our dining room. I did this little video for CBC this week. I have to explain. So during these travels, I realized that color and light were really important in designing a dining room. And I especially found it at Downton Abbey, where they had that gold reflective wallpaper. I found it with Lucy Maud Montgomery's dishes. She's got gold edging around her dishes and her teacups. I went to a house in Chicago called the Glessner House. It's actually quite a stark dining room, but there's wood paneling on the ceiling. In between the wood paneling, it's gold leaf, so that when people light their candles, the candlelight reflects off the gold ceiling. And in many of these Japanese houses, they have these Japanese gold screens. So I became obsessed with gold in the dining room. So here's our dining room. Now I hope this is going to work. We got that. Here we go.
Hi, my name is John Ota, and welcome to my dining room. During my travels, I found that one of the most significant influences in dining room design is light and color. In Japanese culture, gold screens are used in cultural and ceremonial functions to reflect the candlelight and bring the room to life. A Japanese gold leaf screen was way too expensive for me to buy, so I had to make one myself. I bought an inexpensive screen, had it upholstered in everyday gold dress fabric, and here it is. I love how it catches the candlelight and makes the room shimmer. I hope you love your dining room. Happy dining. Thanks very much for being here. Thank you.
Happy dining. Wait, we're still going. We're almost, I know you want to go. I know you want to. But, so this is what it looks like at night. It's a work in progress. And I want to make it more informal. I like Colette's dining chairs. I'll have to find some leopard skin dining chairs. So just in conclusion and wrapping up, I did it. So I threw a birthday dinner for Franny with food from the places that I visited and shared it with our friends and family in this rejuvenated dining room. But not everything went the way I had planned it. I thought that we'd have a sit-down dinner at this dining table with the gold screens, but that's not what Fran wanted. She said, after all, it is my party, so what can I say? She likes buffet. So we served the food buffet style. And the message was to help yourself. Vegans, vegetarians, gluten-free, meat eaters could choose the foods they wanted and the portion size. With people being more health conscious and desiring more food options, I think a buffet is the way of the future in the dining room. So the menu included many of the dishes from the dining rooms that I visited. So did I ever find the perfect dining room for Fran? Well, that depends. So Martin Luther King Jr.'s family dining room was perfect for their open discussions, but it would not have been the space for Claude Monet, who liked the color yellow, or for Frida Kahlo, who wanted to promote Mexican nationalism. But the salient point is that the prominence of the dining room has not declined. The dining room continues to be the central place in the floor plan and the focal point for gathering and celebration. So with the egalitarian values of the 21st century, we've landed into an architectural form where the dining room is integrated into this open concept kitchen, dining area. Some people say the dining room is dead. I would say it's not dead. It's just been redesigned. It has evolved, and it's better than ever. But what I also learned was it's not about serving the perfect dish or sitting in the perfect chair or wearing the perfect clothes. As Fran said, it's about gathering, and she loved getting together with our friends and family, enjoying each other's company. So to end off, here's about 2 minutes of a scene from The Taste of Things. This is a dining room scene from, the end of the 19th century in the French countryside. It'd be similar to the cuisine and the dining practices of Claude Monet. Okay, Christian. Oh, here we go. That's good. So, the final slide, here's Fran wearing her birthday tiara and with our 17-year-old neighbor who also had her significant 17th birthday. So thank you for being here. Dinner brings us together. Thank you so much. Thank you.